What's going on, everybody? It's John with ACTION-FLIX.com. It's Sunday afternoon, post-surgery week. So, as you can see, I have my robotic arm in place. I'm in pain, but I have not taken any pain meds yet because I wanted to do a show and talk some action movies. And then, trust me, afterwards, I will be taking some pills and probably going to sleep again because that shit really knocks you out. But I wanted to welcome everybody to another edition of the Action Fix podcast, the weekly intel. This is John. I am your host. We are going to be talking about all things action, a little bit of a retro style show we got for you today because a lot of things we're going to be talking about is like retro throwback, old school type stuff. But I will get into that in a little bit. First of all, I am not going to be alone again. I have my co-host with me, my brother in arms, Shane, the action nerd Logans. He has been kind enough to join me once again to talk about all things action and all the cool stuff that goes along with it. And like I said, this is going to be a retro style, old school vibe to the Action Fix podcast today. So let me bring them on in. Shane, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thanks, man. Glad to see you're recovering, and hopefully it's a bionic shoulder this time instead of just
No, they put stuff in it, but trust me, it's not bionic. I wish I made the
uh,
joke like, can you just chop it off and put the Winter Soldier's arm on? And my daughter joked, she's like, that would probably be too expensive. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. It would probably be like a couple $1,000,000, to put a Winter Soldier arm on it.
yeah, your copay might not be able to cover a good chunk of it.
And it's hysterical. Like all week long before the surgery, all I did was get phone calls because I reached my deductible. So now they're like, "Oh, you're responsible for 20%." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So how much do I owe?" And then the anesthesia people call. "Oh, this is okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah." I mean, it's like, you know what? It's like, go away. Just everybody go away. But it's been about a week.
Yep.
Tomorrow will be a week, and I'm in some severe pain. But I'm just doing nothing. So I figured I was supposed to do this on Friday, but I was in definitely no shape on Friday to do a show. So I figured, hey, why not do one today? So what's new with you, my man? Anything you got going on that you want to talk about before we get into things?
Well, you know about this. I can actually proudly say that I have a new job. I'll be starting up
Yay.
later this week. So, just for the audience, sadly, it's like I turned 40 January 26th, and my girlfriend came up to visit me, and the day I dropped her off at the airport, which was the 29th, so 3 days after I turned 40, my boss called me in and was like, "We got to let you go." So
Wonderful.
I've been unemployed, uh, waiting for unemployment to actually pay me the money. After I file this week's claim, it'll be almost $3,500 they owe me. So wish me luck, everybody.
Yeah, right.
And but yeah, it's like I got a new job, hence the haircut. It'll be a delivery job, and I did delivery for FedEx for 3 years, and unair conditioned vehicle. I just got used to having short hair, so hence the reason for that. But I was like hoping on Friday. I was like, okay, I'm waiting to hear from this job. Maybe John won't record, but maybe he will. I was looking forward to either recording or not recording, but
Yeah.
and then he messaged me going, "Hey, are you up to you got any plans for today?" So,
Yeah, that's me. I don't advertise. Like everybody advertises when they're going to do their shows, so they have a set day when they do their shows. I just do it when I can. That's basically what it is. And right now it's how I feel. So
mhm.
I was like, hey, I mean, I don't feel great right now. I feel like shit. But I'm like, you know what, it is what it is. So I either sit there and just watch another movie or I do something productive, which is I figured what the hell. So, anything going on with your podcast? Anything you got coming up that you want to plug
I
before we get
just
started?
posted the conclusion, as I call it, to called it the future of action with you and Charlie.
Oh, you did. I did not see
Trying
that.
to
I'll
get
have to check that out. Yes, I did not see that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's still I'm fighting with Spotify. They're like, "Oh, it's supposed to be up there." Well, it's not. But you can pretty much find it anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I actually have, thanks to my, lovely and beautiful girlfriend, she who I'd shout her out, but she asked me not to do that
Fair
for
enough.
privacy.
Mm.
So, she was nice enough to I gathered a bunch of base images of like action stars like Chow Yun Fat from Hard Boiled, Scott Atkins from Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning, I think retrospectively, I think the only action star I didn't put on that or have a base image to was Van Damme.
Shame on
So
you.
like, I know I failed.
I'm
Well,
kidding.
I got Chuck Norris from Mission and Missing in Action. I got the pretty much I think people would call him the Holy Trinity of action: Stallone, Willis, and Schwarzenegger from Expendables 2. And all I did really for this was I just stripped the background from the image, and she's like, "Well, let me see what I can do." So I have a logo now. She threw in a couple of little things to, I think it was like "Oops" or "WTF" because they're all pointing guns at each other, basically.
Oh, yeah, I asked you about that. I'm like, "Why does it say oops?" You were like, like, "I
Yeah,
get it now. I get it. I get it. It's humor."
yeah, I think that's the reason why. I think the only image on there that doesn't have a gun is Keanu from John Wick 2. So
Interesting. The only one that doesn't have a weapon is John Wick. Ah, oh,
yeah, well, he doesn't need a weapon. He just needs a pencil.
he did that. A fucking pencil. Yes, and we all know
It's
the
just a
story.
fucking
Just a
pencil.
fucking
And I think if
pencil.
everybody's seen that image of like the super giant pencil, uh, and you just see Keanu smiling, I'm like, oh, that's John Wick's attempt at Godzilla over there. When they finally say it's time for the Godzilla. Oh nope, I was wrong. I just double checked. There's another image, Jet Li from Fist of Legend, and Donnie Yen not holding a gun from Raging Fire, which when that movie came out, that was like one of my favorites of that year.
Oh yeah, that was one of the best action movies.
So,
Mhm.
oh yeah.
So you got any future episodes you got going on, or you
Not right now. I was more preoccupied trying to get stuff for a job. Like that. Once they approved me, I ran straight to their drug screening company, which had less than an hour before they officially closed to do the drug test. I was trying to gather stuff up for this new job.
wait a minute? You decided to focus on getting the new job? How dare you?
I know. I like surprisingly, like I even told my girlfriend this. I was like, yeah, I decided to do kind of an adult thing, and yeah, it's just weird.
It's funny though because I'm not unemployed, but I feel like I'm unemployed. It's like
Oh
because
yeah.
I haven't worked since the end of January, and
Oh,
the leave of absence people are a pain in the ass. My God, I'm still
oh,
dealing
I
with that
bet.
crap. Yeah, but let's not.
Uh,
Okay, enough of that shit. We're not here to talk about
oh
like
yeah.
disabilities and jobs. We're here to talk about action movies and
Oh
television.
yeah.
God damn it, that's what
I
we
was.
are all about. So before we get started. We are jocking up. That's right. There he is, Stallone. Just Stallone. I'm on paid meds, people. It's
Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger. It's Schwarzenegger. There's one. I pissed myself off on that one. Yeah,
Oh,
Schwarzenegger, jocking up in Commando. Yes, we are going to be talking about what has been happening. And actually, last week, if you noticed, all of you out there, I did not really do a lot with my website. Of course, I had surgery last Monday, and it's all been like a blur. I did do two posts a couple days ago, and then I think I did two more yesterday. So I've done four. So I'm getting back there. It's just a matter because it's hard to type, like because I'm like one-handed and I try to use my other fingers and I'm trying to do that too. And I'm like,
oh,
it just doesn't work. So I'm like, maybe I could just do like a podcast and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like because I want to write, but I'm like, so I'll figure it out. But let's pop it up on the main screen here. We're going to get actionflix.com. There it is. Bam. My new website. Well, it's not new, but it's newer looking. As you can see, there's our podcast I did with Shane. We defended Air Force One down. Yes, there it is. So American Samurai. I don't know if all you out there that are David Bradley fans, I wrote the article yesterday, but Sam Firstenberg, who is a member of my private group, which is kind of cool, actually, the director of such greats as American Ninja 2, Avenging Force, American Samurai, is a member of my personal ActionFlix group. And he was sending me these snippets of this gentleman, and I want to get his name right. So I'm going to look on here. Hang on a second. Again, this is my... Lyle Goodwin. Yeah, Lyle Goodwin is restoring American Samurai. And I don't know, like, if all you out there, when you first saw American Samurai, as I did myself, when it was over, I felt like I had watched something. I mean, I enjoyed it because it was, David Bradley kicking ass and Mark Dacascos' like first big role, but it didn't feel right. It felt uneven, and like in the end fight was just like whacked and everything. But here, I interviewed Sam years ago for his book Stories from the Trenches, and that was his only film that got butchered in post, interference, and they did not deliver the vision that he wanted to. So I was like, oh, okay, now it all makes sense. So now that is getting the restoration treatment by Lyle Goodwin, and it's supposed to fix like continuity issues, and like I guess they went back and added new scenes to it like that Sam didn't even know about, and like put them in there and stuff like that, and just like this all this other plot stuff that like wasn't supposed to be part of it, and they kind of like took the mystery out because it actually was supposed to be like a mystery throughout the movie with the big reveal at the end, and here it was like known from the beginning. So yeah, Sam was like, yeah, that's not what I wanted at all. So I was like, okay, I get it now. And plus, when it came over to North America, a lot of the graphic violence was taken out because I guess they didn't think us in North America could handle graphic violence. But who knows? I mean, they were making Friday the 13th movies and shit at the same time. But what do I know? Now, Shane, you have not seen American Samurai, which is fine. But
Yeah.
let's talk to you about like in terms of the American Ninja movies. Give us your experience with the American Ninja movies.
I say I probably own them all on DVD.
Of course you do. You should.
When yeah, well, it's like I saw American Ninja 3 on Spike TV. Um, and then one day my family, I was like early 20s, and I didn't start driving until I was like 23, 24 because I was paying for college out of pocket. We
Hmm.
went to Circuit City, and right there on the shelf, American Ninja 1 through 5, and I just said, you know what, fuck it, and I bought all of them. And I had seen, like I said, I'd seen it was number 4 because last time I said I admitted, like, walking around kind of dressed up like Dudikoff was because I just thought he was the man in that. And, I saw this character, David Bradley, uh, and most of the movie he's held hostage, sadly, but, you
Yeah,
know,
that's what fans complain about. I didn't have a problem with it, but everybody was like, "Yeah, I know what we're expecting this big team up between him and Dudikoff," which there kind of is, but it's like not until the last third of the movie where
yeah,
they finally get
yeah.
together. Yeah, continue.
But yeah, it was more of Dudikoff coming back to the franchise after being gone for the third during the third movie. And but I was like, oh, I really enjoyed it. And I like martial arts. I'm a gun guy, but I do like sitting down and watching martial arts movies. So seeing Dave Bradley in the movie, I've actually been playing with the idea of just sitting down watching some of my old action movies. Like, I got a stack of movies right here next to me, uh, which I believe all but one of them might have been from the 90s. So, nope, 92. So, okay, they're all from the 90s, and this stack only has stars one man, and he's one of the goats. He's on my Mount Rushmore of action movies. And I'll just show you the incredible Chow Yun Fat.
Of course,
So,
of
uh,
course.
well, like I have the Corruptor, Hard Boiled, and the Replacement Killer right here on my desk. So, and
Respect.
I
That's a
like,
good.
oh yeah, it's like I like martial arts movies. There's some of the ones, they're sadly enough, it's gotta have like an established franchise for me to get my attention, like American Ninja or Kickboxer
Hmm.
or oh, Bloodsport
Of
is
course,
another one.
yes.
So, and funnily enough, I just started watching this old like 90s, early 2000s TV show starring Mark Dacascos, and like the only TV show that he starred at during that time. So, uh, because I saw that image of Dacascos, I was like, wait, Mark Dacascos wasn't. I gotta try to find American Samurai now, and sit down and watch it because I feel like I've robbed myself of not seeing that movie.
That's fine. That's fine. So like this is basically, well, it's dubbed Bloodsport with Blade. So Bradley stars as an American who him and his parents are in a plane crash at the beginning of the movie, and his parents die, but he gets taken in by a samurai because they're just hanging out in Japan. So he gets trained by a master, but Mark Dacascos is his real son, and of course Mark Dacascos gets mad because he's training David Bradley, but he's like, I'm
Hmm.
training you too. But Dacascos doesn't want to hear of it. And he becomes Yakuza, and he sets up this underground fighting arena with swords and weapons and stuff like that. And of course, Bradley gets sucked into it, and it's a good movie. Like I said, for what it is. But like I said, yeah, when you watch it, you will definitely know. Like there's scenes at it, like there's a real cringeworthy sex scene in it, and it's not even the two actors. You can tell it's not the two actors. It's like, we're not stupid. Because like Bradley, like just before then, he's like in his underwear, right? And he's totally shaved. He doesn't have any hair, but then they're in bed, and then also he's got hair on his chest. I'm like, okay, it's like what's so yeah, so it's just weird, So that, but yeah, they like the
It's
student,
his
yeah.
body double, his
Oh
stuntman.
my
He had
god,
to
they
give his
got the worst
stuntman
body
some
double ever.
credit.
But yeah, so
No.
so there's just weird things going on. But like I said, now I figured, I found out, and I interviewed him. And I put the interview quote in the article because I had asked him about American Samurai, and he was talking about how that was the one film that was tampered with. So he said, and I quote, "The filming and the editing of American Samurai was all done in Israel. The reason was that the company owned a studio and editing facility there, so it was probably financially viable. After I finished the filming and the editing of the movie, all the material was sent to the company's headquarters in Los Angeles. I stayed in Israel to direct several episodes of the television show Sweating Bullets, which is also known as Tropical Heat, that was produced over there. At that point
Mhm.
of time, the company was not producing or preparing any other movie, and apparently they had nothing to do but to mess around with American Samurai. I guess they got bored. Apparently, someone with the
Right.
decision-making power did not like what he saw and wanted to change it. So, without my knowledge, they hired an editor, changed the order of the story, and injected a few new scenes into it. In my opinion, those changes and additions subtracted from the overall quality and effectiveness of the film and its impact. But in the Hollywood way of filmmaking, the producer is the final authority and can do with his movie whatever he or she wants. Despite the fact that this experience was disappointing, it did not change the way I approached directing movies. I kept doing what I believe is the most effective way of telling compelling cinematic stories. So I just find it funny, like they're like, "Oh, we got nothing going on right now. Hey, hey, American Samurai. Okay, let's totally fuck it up." Well,
So
where's the thought
my,
processes behind that? But there's supposed to be a lot more mysticism to it and like a mystery to it and everything. So we don't know when it's going to be done. The guy's working on it, Lyle Goodwin, who is in working closely with Sam Firstenberg on it. So hopefully, it comes out sooner rather than later because I'm dying to see it. Because, like I said, I like the movie, but it's when you watch it, you'll definitely, now that, plus knowing what you know now, you're gonna be like, yeah, this movie was dicked with when in post production, which
I
is a
just got a
shame.
question. But it's like hearing that it was filmed in Israel, the production studio, and edited. I'm like, is this a canon film?
Yes, but it was
Okay.
canon when they were on the outs. So it's canon
Well,
and Global Pictures. So Canon did put it
okay, so
out,
it's
but by that time Golding and Globus were not around anymore, and it was a sinking
mhm.
ship. So yes, it was
Yeah.
canon,
So
but it was,
hearing that, I'm like, oh, it's more of a global than canon. Gotcha.
yes. So yeah, so for whatever reason, they thought they wanted to change things up, and he wasn't around to even know what they were doing to it. So I bet it was a shock to him. Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's a thing that's going on. So I wrote an article to it yesterday, and it was pretty cool. I woke up today, and Sam shared it, and Lyle shared it, and they thanked me and everything. And I was like, hey, I'm not doing it for the thanks or the accolades. I'm just doing it because I'm a fan, and I want to see what his vision was when it all comes down to it. You got anything to
Yeah,
add?
it's like, well, no, it's like I'm like, okay, I gotta try to find where this movie's at now, so I can,
Well,
even if it's
you can get it
a bit
cheap.
of a mess.
It was on Tubi for a while, but got taken down. It's on YouTube. yeah, because there's a lot of those companies on YouTube that show movies
Hmm.
officially. Like it's not like rips or anything. You can find it on YouTube, and you could probably get a cheap DVD or Blu-ray of it on eBay. Because that's what I did way back when. Because that's what I have. But I have the Americanized butchered
Uh,
which does it because I guess you can. I did not find. I have not found it, but I guess there's like overseas copies that have the graphic violence still in it. But it's the same movie, but it just has more of the violence in it. Because again, like when people get killed in the movie, like it's one of those where like the guy gets cut, but then it snaps away from you, and you're like, oh, okay. It is like because obviously there's something else that was supposed to be there, but I guess they thought we were too baby and couldn't take some guy getting his head chopped off or something. I have
you
no
know,
idea. Like I said,
that reminds me of another movie from a few years back. It was an American and Korean film, Snowpiercer. Uh,
yes, with Chris Evans. Yep,
where internationally there was like more to the story and like more violence and everything, but Weinstein, sadly, because I got Hard Boiled right next to me, everybody, it was a Weinstein Company film or released here in the
it
US
was.
when they
It is what
remastered it.
it is. Yeah, it
Uh,
is what it is.
yeah, so but he, according to an interview with Chris Evans, they were like, "So how do you feel knowing that Harvey Weinstein was like, the American people aren't that smart and won't understand this, so we have to give like a beginning title narration or like screen crawl." I've seen the movie. It's been years since I've seen the movie.
Me
All I
too.
really remember was Chris Evans was in it with a beard. He filmed that right after he did Marvel's Avengers, and I remember not particularly caring for it at the time. So,
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, so that's another that was another interesting movie, and actually they made the TV show out of it, which lasted a few years. I never watched the TV show. I never got into that.
they're saying that there's going to be like one final season. I think I just read that not too
Okay.
long ago. It was this week, saying that they're going to wrap it up, and I'm like, well, that's nice. There's some shows that I've enjoyed the hell out of it that don't even get that chance to wrap up. So,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it happens all the time.
oh yeah.
But yeah, so like very rarely do we get to see like when something's butchered, we don't get to see like the vision that the director or the filmmakers wanted us to see. That's why like Zack Snyder's Justice League, that was such
Oh
an
yeah.
enigma. And when we finally were able to see that, that's one of my all-time favorite comic book movies. And I got people fighting
Hmm.
me on it how because one, Zack Snyder, they hate Zack Snyder to begin with, and then like I got people telling me, "Oh, this isn't the Superman or the Batman I grew up with." I'm like, DC's darker than Marvel, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, but
Uh,
yeah, so like being able to see his vision and just how wonderful that was in relation to the shit that we got in the movie theater by Josh, you know, jump off a cliff Whedon. But it's like it's just so cool that now with like a little lesser known movie, like because let's face it, American Samurai is a niche movie. Like us know
yeah.
it, but mainstream America or does not know it. But it's just cool that we're gonna get to see a definitive version of something that was like heck. Plus, it's been like over 30 years. So it's
Oh
like
yeah.
wow, it's unheard of in that respect.
Yeah, 32, because while you were talking, I was looking up. I was like, okay, I want to see. So it came out in 92, and I'm like,
92.
wow.
Yeah, so that's when Canon was pretty much because they were still putting out Canon movies, like they did Chain of Command with Michael Dudikoff, and they were doing some
Hmm.
like Street Night with Jeff Speakman was a Canon movie, but those were all the last leg Canon movies, and like Golden and Globus weren't even part of the equation anymore, so they were on the
Hmm.
outside, but they were still released. And also if I don't know if you remember, but the Canon Video was a thing for a time where they actually had their own label, VHS label, and they
Oh
were
yeah,
putting
it's
movies out, which was kind of cool, but that didn't that lasted like a day. So but yeah, so
yeah.
yeah,
It's
American
I
Samurai is
remember.
one of them, and like American Ninja 4, which Sam Firstenberg did not direct. Cedric Sundstrom directed that one, but again, this was all on the tail end, and like PM Entertainment was starting to come into the mix, with their doing their thing on VHS and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it was what it was, but it's just cool that now we're going to be able to see. So here's what you do: you got to go find it and watch it. You have time because, like I said, I don't think this is coming out anytime soon. Like they're still working on it.
Yeah.
And then we'll watch the other one, and then we'll do a retrospective and like talk about it. Because you have to. You just have to.
Oh yeah.
It's like that's why they do this. Anything else to add before we move on, sir?
Not that I can think of. It's like I'm like, okay, I gotta try to. I might be able to. I just typed it in Google search. I might be able to watch it on Plex.
It's
So
on play. Okay, you got commercials,
so
but so it.
yeah. Well, that's fine. It's but no, hearing that, I'm like, if people want to know, I'm just gonna throw this out there. If you want to know about Canon Films, there's the great documentary, The Electric Boogaloo,
Yep.
which I don't know how hard it is to find nowadays, but there's that box set, that Canon movie box set of like their greatest movies, and it comes with Electric Boogaloo, the documentary.
Yes, it does.
And I know this because it's in my living room right now.
It's in my closet somewhere buried. I can't get to it because I have one arm right now.
Yeah, no, it's not on the little shelf that I have here near my computer. So.
Yeah, so that's going to be pretty cool. And like I said, this is like a retro style throwback episode of the ACTION-FLIX Weekly Intel, because now we're going to talk about this movie. Now this is kind of cool. We got The Last Kumite, which I love the title because anytime you put Kumite in the title, we all know blood sport and stuff like that, so they're not stupid. But this was a passion project. Russ W. Clarkson, who directed this movie, this was one of those movies that went through a Kickstarter crowd campaign, to generate money for it, and they wanted to do a homage, a love letter to old school throwback underground fight flicks that populated blockbusters and mom and pop video stores back in the 90s, because we all know, like, well, I especially know, like, back in the early 90s to mid 90s, every week you walked into a video store, there was countless movies that were the hero fighting in an underground tournament because you know what, he sucked in, he got out of it, but he got sucked in. They kidnapped his girlfriend or his wife, or they killed somebody. And so here's what we're going to do first. We are going to watch the trailer for it, you and I. We're going to revel in the marvelousness of this and talk about it afterwards.
You're champion many times over.
It's ASU's.
I can get you in a tournament. I'm talking about a real-life kumite in Eastern Europe.
It's such an honor to see so many champions in one place. All of you have been selected to participate in the kumite.
What if we don't win?
You really want to know?
I do. I want to know.
Undefeated champion. This is Draco.
My wife is being held hostage, and I'm being forced to fight in a kumite. Draco?
That one scene where the guy just resets his nose. I was like, oh wow, this is gonna be brutally violent, which I'll be looking forward to it.
Absolutely, it's a homage, but they got to do it the right way.
There's one man who knows how.
And Billy Blanks.
Billy Blanks.
The guy hasn't done an action movie in years. Coming out of retirement. This is awesome.
Very trust their
Yep.
No, we're more.
And then there's the bro.
He got Stan Bush. It's like TikToks are all over again. We got the montage.
I liked how they show that there's one of the fighters in the Kumite is
into the
a
camera.
luchador.
Kung Fu.
Michael, it's time.
There you go. Holy cow. How awesome is that? I mean, you freaking have Stan Bush. These guys knew what they were doing. They're like, let's get Stan Bush to write a theme song for it, so that way, if just in case people didn't know it was a homage to VHS era action martial arts movies. There you go. Plus, they got Paul Hertzog did the Bloodsport soundtrack to do the music for it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so you got Mathis Landwehr, who isn't as known. He's a German martial artist, but I know him. He's done movies like The Challenge and Death Train. Phenomenal martial artist. He's one of those extreme guys. But you got Matthias Hughes, Cynthia Rothrock, Kurt McKinney from No Retreat, No Surrender, Billy Blanks, who every time I go on social media, he's like in these projects, but I mean, I haven't seen anything come about. Like he was supposed to be in this in a TV series, and then now he's doing this. And then there's another trailer I just went online. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but yeah, having him come back because he's once he started doing his Taibo thing, he was like, hey, I can make money with this. So he went off to greener pastures with that, and this just looks like it just gives you chills because it's like if you're a fan of these movies right down to the tournament, like the ring and the tournament. Like this is what you want.
It's like seeing that they're kind of bringing back the 80s and 90s martial arts feel underground. Hold on, let's see if I have it right here. Sorry, everybody.
No problem.
Yeah, I have two of these movies that are kind of like that. The Kickboxers. The latest
Although
one.
you'll have people coming out of the woodwork telling you those are garbage, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, well they're fun to watch. I like them.
We can
listen.
We could get into a whole podcast just talking about that because I fought with so many people about because again, when I say I like things that are remakes of other things, people automatically think that I'm shitting on the original. I'm like, because here's what I said, and I stand by my convictions. I am a super fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme's original Kickboxer. I saw it in the theater on opening weekend. I had it on VHS. I have it on DVD. I have it on Blu-ray. I mean, I like listen, but when Alan Moussi and them did their thing, I liked the fight. Listen, if you watch the original Kickboxer, it's just slow motion Van Damme yelling and spinning and stuff. If the fight scenes are better in the remake, they did their due diligence, and what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm talking from the aspect that I'm a martial artist / action film buff. It's like that's what I'm talking about. So yeah, I have people coming at me left and right. I'm like, you know what? You just shut up because I'm not listening to any of you.
Or in that, like Batista was actually showing off his Muay Thai kickboxing skills because he's got his own dojo, and not a whole lot of people know that he's trained to do that. Not just wrestling. It's everybody thinks of him as a wrestler or Drax, but when he came on as Tong Po, I thought it was a little odd seeing him with that the dread wig that they put on him, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoy movies like this. Yeah, it's Billy Blanks. Seeing him pop up, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
because I remember doing Taibo with my mom in the early 2000s because that was like the big thing to get into shape was Taibo, and
big time.
I remember watching. When Billy Blanks basically had his heyday in the 90s with different action movies, I remember watching those, and enjoying the hell out of them. There's just so many different ones that I'm like, okay, it's been 30 years that I've seen some of his movies. I just kind of can't remember the names, but I remember sitting there and enjoying watching him in it. And seeing like, the underground street fight tournament, I just remembered one was Heat Seeker from back in the 90s.
Yes. Keith Hirabashi Cook and Gary Daniels.
Yeah, it's like I remember watching part of it, like when it was on Sci-Fi Channel, like the end where it was the fight with Gary Daniels, and then watching part of it in the late aughts there on Netflix, and I was just like, oh wow, there's Heat Seeker, there's the Kickboxer movies. I'm one of the few people who like Redemption Kickboxer 5. Granted, it's got nobody really with the Sloan family, but you got a guy who is basically that's the whole concept of the Kickboxer movies is we're got to drag somebody in out of against their will to compete in this tournament because they're good.
Yes. And they don't want to do it.
And I will admit, it's like I heard of the LAST KUMITE and was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. And when I finally sat down to watch the preview, it was like Thursday or Friday off of your website. So I was like, this looks pretty badass. So, and I remember I own I can't remember where it came from, but it's either Japanese or Korean, or even maybe Thai or Filipino, a movie called Kumite, uh, where a guy is trying to get into a big time martial arts tournament, and his teacher was known as Bullshit Bill because he was just full of shit, or bullshit as they called it. And to help him get an edge over his opponents, besides Muay Thai, he studied Kung Fu to
Yes.
compete in that. And seeing this, I'm excited and happy because I think the only image I'd ever seen was like you popped it up. I think it was the first one with the bloody fist. And
Yes,
I'm
that
like,
was the
what in
teaser
the
poster that they first came out with when they were doing their crowdfunding campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, part of me was like, what the hell? Are they doing a weird remake of Bloodsport was my because whenever that movie, the word Kumite is pretty much synonymous with Bloodsport. It's the
It
one that
is.
got it most popular. So it's I'm looking forward to it. I'm like Cynthia Rothrock. She hasn't done a whole lot that I've seen lately. Uh, I think the last thing I consciously remember watching her in was Mercenaries, which was supposed to be the Asylum Films
Yeah.
knockoff of Expendable 3.
Right.
So I think that was possibly the
Well,
last movie I saw
she
her
she
in.
actually is doing her Black Creek. Her passion project again did a crowdfunding project for that too, which is a Western style action movie with martial arts, and she got same thing. She got a bunch of big names in it and everything. And that's the biggest thing she's got coming out is she wore all the hats during the production, directing and everything.
Nice.
And then so that, and if you go on social media, she's just enjoying life. I mean, she does seminars, she travels, and she's having a great old time. So it's like more power to her.
It sounds like she saved up all that all that money from all her movies, and she's like, I'm just gonna live high on life right now.
Absolutely. But yeah, but like I said, like back, I graduated high school in 91. God, that makes me sound old. But then I got into the martial arts because I always wanted to get into the martial arts, but I just never did. But then I saw The Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman, and then the next day I was like, "That's it, I'm going in." And I went into a Kempo school because that's what Jeff Speakman was doing in The Perfect Weapon, and the rest is history. I ended up teaching it and running a school and everything. And but like that time, like all these movies were coming out. Like I had my cousin's video store, which was my first job. He had like 3 video stores at one time, so I saw all this stuff coming through. And then with Blockbuster and everything, like every week I would go. Tuesdays was new release day, and every day
Hmm.
Tuesday afternoon I would go to lunch. Like I would open up the school, teach class, do office work, and then leave for lunch and come back later on and do night classes. So I would leave and go to Blockbuster because by that time, my cousin was closing up his shops and stuff like that because like Blockbuster was just like taking over and everything.
Yeah.
But I would go every Tuesday and then just and that's the best time because like you didn't know what to expect. Like, okay, what's coming? Like you would see magazines and stuff like that, but it's not like it is now,
Hmm.
like with the internet, like shit when it's coming out or this and that. But like it was like a surprise. Like when you walked in there and you saw Billy Blanks on the cover or something. Oh, like I can't tell people the feeling that I had in that era, just going to a video store, just it's like a treasure, finding a treasure on the shelf and then taking it home and then, watching it and everything.
Oh no, it's like growing up on military bases. Like I lived from '97 to 2001. When my dad was active duty, we lived in Germany, and there was it was interesting. We had the different military. We had Army, we had the Air Force, and a Navy store on the same base, and you could rent movies from that. It was funny because the Navy version was mom's movies, and every Friday you could rent like 5 movies for $5, and that's
That's
how
a
I got to
deal.
watch some of.
Hey.
Oh yeah, Well, these were VHSs. Like this was
Well,
in
frickin'
the late
Blockbuster was like
90s.
frickin' Blockbuster was like $3.49 for. I mean, they would do deals and stuff like that, but it was just like, holy
Oh
shit.
yeah.
It's like,
Well, I just remember it's like going and picking up some of these like made for TV or made for video movies, stuff like this. I remember getting like one that that just popped in my head that was straight to video was Behind Enemy Lines with Thomas Ian Griffin.
yes, I know it well.
So
I have it on Vudu and on VHS.
well, or it's like I no longer have the VHS because my my first ex-wife had me get rid of all my VHSs because there was just so many of them. And but yeah, another franchise which sadly like disappeared, which it's in my opinion, I'm like, okay, the quality of the movies went downhill, but you know, there was the Operation Delta Force movies or the U.S. SEALs movies. So,
You're speaking my language.
or well, not like what was it? I think Marshall R. Teague was in U.S. SEALs 2.
Marshall Teague was it? Yes, he was. Yes,
Yep.
he's the one that got the Michael Ward. And I talked to both of those guys. So hey, look at that. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
And
like,
you know, he was actually Marshall Teague was one of the main villains in the Roadhouse episode that we talked about on my show.
yes, he was.
So,
Jimmy Reno.
and yep, and I'm like, all right, cool. That's like seeing that we don't really get that style of movie nowadays because I don't know, everybody thinks it's like too low brow. I'm like, no, bring it on. It's you know, we don't need movies that are few $100 million and that aren't very good.
Yeah.
Or I can say the best example I can say of that, you know, Madam Web, few
Ugh.
$1 million movie, some of
I don't think
the
I'm
biggest
ever.
names.
I think I might watch it. I might suck it up and watch it like when it's on something just to see how bad it really. But I have no desire to watch that movie. I wasn't even a fan
I
of the
will admit
comic
that's
book when I was growing up. Like I was a comic book
I
fan,
was
but I was never a fan of Spider Woman or I was a Spider Man. No offense to the
yeah.
ladies. No offense to the ladies, but I never was.
You know, I wasn't a fan of Madam Web on the Spider-Man animated series Saturday mornings. I was not a fan of hers, so I was
No.
not too happy or thrilled she was getting her own movie. I laughed my ass off knowing that that movie bombed theatrically
Well, something
in less than a month. Uh,
something tells me like because I saw an article with the director. And I think they butchered that and they
I wouldn't be surprised.
did whatever. Like, how do you not? Okay, so how do you not have them in their outfits for longer than 2 minutes? I just don't understand that. Like, because that's what I heard. Like, they're in it, but it's like a dream sequence here, or like they're in it for like 3 seconds here. It's like, how do you think people are going to gravitate towards this? Like comic book aficionados like ourselves. Like, if you don't fucking put them in their goddamn outfits and have them
Well,
fight crime.
you know, that's the issue is you get like these $1 million movies, and they sometimes like Madam Web. It hasn't even been out for a month, and it's already on. You can buy it or rent it on Vudu, which that made me laugh even harder because
I want to know
in
who
my
bought
morbid
it. Like,
period,
I want to call Voodoo and be like, how many people have purchased Madam Web since it's been available to buy on Voodoo?
exactly. Well, I looked it up, and because typically people buy movies that are still in theaters because it's cheaper to see them or
It
easier to
is.
see them at your home. But
It
here's
is.
the
Yep.
issue. I looked it up at a local theater here in Spokane. You know, to rent the movie, it's $20. To buy the movie, it's $25. To go to the damn theater down the road from me, it's $13. And that's at a late night showing when prices are more expensive. And I'm like, you know, it doesn't matter if it's got Dakota Johnson or Sydney Sweeney. Yeah, it's like I'll probably do what I did with Morbius and wait till it's like on Netflix and just say screw it and watch it out of boredom.
Yeah, I went to see Morbius at the theaters, and boy, was I! Oh my god, that was a cluster F if I ever saw one. Oh my god, it started out
Oh yeah.
good. Like his initial first fight scene, like when he becomes Morbius, like it was kind of, but then oh my god, it just went. But we're not here to talk about
Yeah,
that. But yeah,
no,
but
no,
yeah,
no,
like
no, no, no.
with studios, like yeah, you don't need a lot of money. You just need people who know what the fuck they're doing and know how to do a decent product with what they have available.
Mhm.
And I'll just
We
I'm gonna
need
well I'm gonna promote this right now. I was on That Fat Samurai Guy's channel last night because he called me up and he's like, "Hey, do you want to interview this guy?" I was like,
You got to be kidding me.
"Yes."
Oh, I hate you right now. I hate you
Yeah,
right
baby. We
now.
talked to it's on now. I'm actually he gave me the link and I'm putting it up on mine. Yeah, we talked to Olivier Gruner for it was almost like an hour and a half. We were just gushing over him. We were just like it was like we were asking
Oh,
him out on a date or something. It was freaking hysterical. But that was
oh,
so awesome. Such a fucking class act. So sweet. So just humble and oh my god. Like they say never meet your heroes, but I can't say that because all my heroes that I met, I have not been disappointed. So it's like
you
and
know,
he's another
you're
one.
fortunate. You're fortunate. There was one of my heroes that I met that really disappointed me, and I
Yes.
just thought he was an asshole. But then again, he has a reputation of being an asshole, so I wasn't too surprised. But I'm gonna pimp out another thing that I did was
Pimp it.
episode of the Last Action podcast with LPJ and Hovercraft Joe, where we talked Nemesis with Olivia Gruner, and it was like they asked me they'd been working on trying to get me on that show for years, and they're like, "Oh, what's a movie you want to see?" And I'm like, "Well, how about we watch Nemesis? I know it's on Tubi, and that's where they watched it. I
Mhm.
own it on Blu-ray, and yeah, see that." Just seeing him like that as just total pure badassery.
Yes, it is.
And I'm like, I can remember the first thing I saw Olivia Gruner in was Velocity Trap.
That's the first movie you saw was Velocity Trap?
I
Ah, that's
saw, yeah, it was
yeah.
Velocity Trap. It was
We
late
talked about
night
that one for a little bit. Yeah, we talked about that one for a little bit.
on a British TV channel because we had two British TV networks. Basically three American, but one of them was like TV Land, and one was like, oh, here's the East Coast version of or this is what's shown on the East Coast, and then this is what's shown on the West Coast. Like, it's how I was able to get away with watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like, I'd go home for lunch from high school or from school, and I'd watch Buffy during lunch, go back to class, and I was like, hey, you guys are gonna watch Buffy tonight? Yeah, I already saw it, and I walked off, and I was like, that that was one of like my cool points there was I got to watch Buffy during lunch. There were people who were like, we got to try to find a place to go and watch Buffy during lunch.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, it's like I saw him in Velocity Trap, and then there's the Interceptor Force movies. Um,
There we are talking to him. There we are. There he is.
oh, nice.
Oh my god, such a fun time. We had a we were talking like after he hung up and we were just like we were just like we were just like all freaking like oh my and just
Just
like and him and then like a lot of times during the interview I think he told me, "Hey, that's a good point," or "Hey, that's a good question." I'm like, "Hey," it's like thank you. It's like but yeah, oh my god. So it's up now on his channel and then I'm going to be putting it up on mine. And that's a shout out to That Fat Samurai Guy, Preston Downey. He does his thing over on YouTube. Such a fucking awesome guy. And like he knows the troubles I've been going through and like with my personal life and my shoulder and everything. And he called
Mhm.
me up and he was like, "Hey, you want to be a co-host?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." And then he's like, "Do you want to interview Olivia Gruner?" I'm like, "Do it." Because funny story with Olivia Gruner. Let me just talk about this. So I was in contact with Olivia Gruner 2 years ago through Facebook. He contacted
Mhm.
me back and I was like, "Hey, I do a website, and I gave him the link to it so he could check it out and everything. I'm a legit, I'm not huge. I'm not JoeBlow.com, but I'm pretty respectable in the action film community. So he's like, "Oh, this is great, and like we are gonna do an interview. But for whatever reason, it just never happened. Like
Mhm.
I couldn't tell. Then I did a podcast for one of his latest movies that came out, Space Wars, which was an homage to like sci-fi channel type science fiction action films and stuff like that. And I interviewed the whole
Mhm.
cast and I had the director on and the whole cast and Sarah French. If you don't know who she is, such a sweetheart. And she's awesome to look at the same time. She's in the movie. Michael Pare. I got to talk to Michael
Oh.
Pare, but then when I got on with the director, he's like, Olivia is not going to be able to join us today. I'm like, damn it. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, so it never happened. So then last week he freaking emails me and is like, hey, and I'm like, yes. Yes, I want to talk to him. So yeah, so just a funny story there. But continue. Go on with what you're saying.
Oh
Sorry.
no, it's like I just remember, it's like I saw Nemesis I'd say about 6 or 7 years ago for the
There
first
he is
time.
from
And
Sector
yeah,
4, which I just watched. A low budget movie, but it's kind of like an advertisement for his Grunel tactical company that he's got going on, where
hmm
he like trains tactical style, which is fucking awesome, by the way.
well, he's a former French Marine, so he's
Yes,
got the skills, he's got the
he's
training.
legit. He's
Mhm.
badass, military trained, kickboxer trained, just a badass. He's a badass. I mean, he's in his 60s now, and he can whip all
Oh
of our.
yeah,
Well, he can whip anybody can whip my ass right now because of my shoulder. But yeah, he is in phenomenal shape, and it's just like he's a specimen. That's all I got to say. Like here he is. Well, this is from the circuit too, but
damn, yeah, no,
yeah.
that
I mean, obviously that's in the back in the day, but he still looks like that. I mean, he might not have as much poundage on him, but God love him, because
yeah, it's like it's just good hearing that like some of these older action stars like Billy Blanks, which I remember during when Tybo first blew up. They were like, "Oh yeah, he acted for a while and then he disappeared, and the reason why he disappeared was he learned how to read." And he didn't know how to read. His
I did
uh
not know that.
his
Okay,
wife for all of his movies actually would read him the lines and he'd memorize them that way.
no shit. Where'd you see that? I am
Yep.
listen. I
It
am
was an
like
interview with
hardcore
him.
into action, and I did not read about that.
It was like a 2020 interview or something because it was when Tybo just blew up and it was everywhere and he was doing an interview with somebody and they're like, "Was it true that you didn't when you were doing movies you didn't know how to read?" He was like, "Very much so. My wife had to read the lines to me and that's how I learned my lines was
Okay,
because I didn't know how to read." But he's like, eventually, she helped me learn how to read. And I was like, "That's pretty cool." And
right?
uh,
Damn.
well, I'm like, well, a former. It's like he's now retired. He retired last year. Was Bruce Willis to help him learn his lines for his movies? Is
Yeah,
he had somebody do the same thing to him, and that's what led to oh, Bruce is sick. Bruce is sick, and
yeah.
but I'm just glad to see like Cynthia Rothrock and hearing that Olivia Gruner has got another project coming up, and seeing Billy Blanks come out of retirement for a movie and seeing some of these older action stars, it's good to see it. I'm glad they're coming back. But we kind of discussed it on my podcast. We kind of need to see some of the a newer generation come in because, you got people who are in their 60s. They can't jump around and do the flips like they used to.
No,
Or if
they
they
can't.
do well, shit. Look at even Tom Cruise. He did Mission Impossible Fallout. He broke his foot or his ankle, and they had to close down for a few months. Just all because he landed wrong.
Yep.
And I'm like, uh, it's like, but seeing these guys, seeing them in like kind of the mentor role, I'm happy because that means, they're trying to pass the torch down.
Yes. And actually, Mathis Landwehr, who's the star of the last Kumite, there he is, right there. He's been
Mhm.
around for a while. I mean, those movies he did that I was talking about, those were like in the 2000s. So he's not. It's not like he's like brand new, but he just, he's not as mainstream in action cinema as some of these other bigger guys are. But he's phenomenal. I mean, you saw a little bit in a trailer, but yeah. So the challenge was one that got a U.S. release on DVD back in the day, and Death Train, which is also known as the Hand of God, which I love because like they fight on top of a train, and he actually says, "I'm the Hand of God," in it. I'm like, that's a badass thing to say to somebody when you're about to beat the
Okay,
shit out
see,
of
I didn't hear the title Death Train, but I had heard of the title Hand of God. I just
Yeah,
never
it was
saw
all
it.
which I thought they should have kept Hand of God because that sounds a lot fucking cooler than Death Train just sounds like oh, Death Train, but yeah,
I
so
think
check
it was
those out
about
if you can. I have them again, they're all in boxes, which I can't get to right now because I have one arm. I should have got all those out before this. I did not think this through, but that's besides the point. But yeah, but he's been around for a while. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see him you know, getting the lead in one of, and hopefully this opens the floodgates for these more of these. Like, I mean, we get them sporadically, like they trinkle through and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's because I'm 51 or like my life has changed drastically in the last few months. I'm into nostalgia right now. Like, it was
Yeah.
funny because we were talking to Olivier last night. I go, Olivier, I just had shoulder surgery. He's like, oh, you know, because he's had surgeries and stuff left and right. He's like, I totally feel for you. I go, but one good thing is I can't do anything right now. So I binge watched like all your movies. He started laughing. I'm like, I think I watched. The only ones I couldn't find was Interceptor and Interceptor Force and Interceptor Force 2 because I don't have those anymore and I couldn't find them on YouTube. But yeah, I watched them all and stuff like that. But I'm just into this like big heyday, you know, throwback, like, you know, Charlie will tell you, give me back my action movies, you know, because and Owen Frill from the Action Elite, he always says this, and I love he's like, these movies are like a warm hug, you know. It's like when you watch them now, it's like, oh, it's like this is just like a, you know, come.
Well,
Did you have a bad day, John?
movie,
well, here, watch this, and you'll feel better.
I was gonna say the last movie I remember watching Olivia Gruner in, that's more recent of his movies was with Don the Dragon Wilson when they did the movie Crooked.
Crooked. We talked about that too. Yeah, that was another good movie.
So,
and he's been directing, like the Sector 4 he directed, Regenerator he directed. He did what called EP, Executive Protection, but that did not get an official release as far as I know, because I've been looking for that one.
No, it's like another one of his movies that he was in. They didn't give him a release. Was Cyborg Nemesis, I believe it was, which was combining Albert Pune's two franchises, Cyborg
we talked
and
about
Nemesis.
Preston brought that up too.
So,
yeah, and actually the Circuit 3 Street Monk did not get a North American release. Like, you have to find that overseas on, you know, other regions. Like, if you have a region free player, you know, seek it out, because that's what I did. But yeah, the first two came out in the States, but yeah, Circuit 3, so I mean, just for whatever it was, you know, financial problems or, you know, but yeah, that didn't get it released over here either. But if you go on eBay, like if it doesn't cost an arm and a leg, you know, I track them down. And I'm going to start to build my collection back up because, again, you know, my ex, you know, we were moving a lot. I think I moved like 4 times with my soon-to-be ex, and I had to get rid of movies like left to right every time we moved. So it's like I'm kicking myself in the ass right now, but it is what it is. But, you know, I'm trying to like get my physical media, because I see these guys on Facebook, and I'm friends with people. I see their rooms, and they're just decked out with DVDs. And my ex would always be like, "Why do you have all these? It's not like you're gonna watch them." I'm like, "That's not the point. You're a collector. When you're a collector, you collect things." And I might not. There's this movie I might not watch again, but I have it if I want to. It's there, you know. And you can't trust digital, you know, because I do have digital copies, but you can't trust digital.
Like, I tried watching Damsel just the other night, and there was a bad connection, so I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll watch something else. And I was like, my first ex-wife, she made me get rid of all my DVDs or the cases to it, so I have those old school CD books like this big, full of DVDs, and like I got Interceptor Force 2 on there.
You do? You got Interceptor Force 2?
I do.
Oh, damn it.
I even have Alien Lockdown from Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got Interceptor Force 2. I got all 5 of the Kickboxer movies on DVD. I was originally just I was like, oh, I remember going into Hastings and I saw Kickboxer, and then I was picking up all the Kickboxer movies singly on DVD, and then I'm looking through the box sets because I usually would compare the prices of the individual ones to the box sets, and the box sets were going to be cheaper than the individual ones, and it came with number 5. And I'm like, wait, there was a number 5? I've seen all the other ones. I've never seen number 5. And you know, when I had my VHSs, like I had Mark Dacascos in the base.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got the base too with what's his name?
Antonio Sabato Jr.
Antonio Sabato Jr. Yeah, which wasn't as good as the one with Mark Dacascos, but it still had its moments. But yeah,
it did. But yeah, I remember, you know, it's like the heyday of these these action movies like I think the only one I don't have on DVD is The Substitute 2.
Ah, with the late great Treat Williams. Yeah, he did 2, 3, and 4.
Yep.
Yeah. I got those. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I have with the exception of number 2, I have them all. It's been years since I've seen it. Hell, it's one of my favorite movies of all times. I had it on VHS. I had it on DVD. My first ex-wife took the DVD, but I got it on digital. I got it on Blu-ray. You might know this more than I do, but is Big Trouble in Little China on 4K?
I can't remember right now. I mean, you'd have
So
to look
yeah,
it
it's
up.
like I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm like
I
once
just
that
got a
comes out.
4K when I moved out and got my own place. I just got a 4K, so my 4K collection is kind of like, but plus now I'm out of work, so it's not like I've been buying movies left and right. So yeah, so I haven't really
same with me.
researched it. Yeah.
Well, like I told you and Charlie, it's like I turned in all my Google points into money, and that's how I was able to watch Air Force One Down.
Yeah.
And seeing images like that for Last Kumite, that reminds me of these old tournament movies.
But here's the thing, like
are-
this is getting a cool release. It's getting a 4K release, a Blu-ray release, probably DVD, I'm assuming. So it's got Dolby Vision HDR presentation, behind the scenes music video from Stan Bush, No Surrender, interviews with Kurt McKinney, Muhammad Kissy, Mathis Landwehr, Matthias Hughes, and Paul Herzog. It's got Sean and Mathis comment on previs, original trailer, teaser. So yeah, it's a pretty stacked and again, I wish I would have. I remember the crowdfunding project, but again, it's like, here's the thing. I've kind of been burned on crowd. I did one a way back, and the movie never happened. So I basically gave them money for nothing. So I'm kind of leery when they're talking about crowdfunding projects. No offense.
I've only participated in one crowdfunding, and that was for a buddy of mine, Esteban Cervantes. He was crowdfunding a toy line, and that their crowdfunding was, we do not take any money unless we hit our goal.
There you go.
Sadly, it didn't get the goal.
Okay.
But he was able to find some investors, so they're making the toy line. If people want to check that out, go on to social media, look up Fist Action Figures, and that's my buddy Esteban's toy line, which he's from Colombia. They're doing everything there in country in Colombia, and like 2 years ago, he tried doing crowdfunding for that. So yeah, it's like I'll take a peek in on some of the crowdfunding things. Like I think I saw a thing on the Last Kumite crowdfunding, but I was like, my buddies didn't go all the way, so I'm kind of leery about that myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. I mean, but like there's a lot of successful ones. It's just like I was not fortunate enough to. So I was kind of like I don't have money to burn. So I would love to give to all these.
Oh yeah.
Get these things made out, but yeah. So that's why I'm always kind of hesitant.
There was one crowdfunding project. If I would have known about it at the time, I would have definitely given money to it. Was Range 15 with basically the Black Rifle Coffee guys.
Yep.
So I'm a fan of their videos. I laugh every time they do something, and they even threw in a joke. They're like, "Where's this guy out?" And Ron Jeremy, which I know that's a hot take nowadays.
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, your Indiegogo campaign went so well, you were actually able to hire real life actors for this movie." Okay, well, thanks, Ron Jeremy. You can go now. Because I wouldn't have expected to see Dale Dye in that movie, or Keith David.
Right.
So.
But here's a cast photo of the last.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I just love how one of the fighters is a luchador, a masked luchador.
Because you got to. It's like,
yeah,
and it's like a blood sport thing. Like you got all these different styles, because that was the blood sports claim to fame. Besides Jean-Claude Van Damme emerging was like all the different styles of martial arts that were represented and like all the types of fights that they had in it. So again, they're doing the same thing like with this whole cast and everything, and putting it in there, and it just looks like it's just gonna be loaded with just look, I'm all about slow motion, getting punched in the face and having the blood spray towards the camera. But it's like that's what you're getting, and that's what you're getting when you're getting into it. So it's like you love it. It's like this is, Then you got him doing the elbow at the end in slow motion. It's like, and then of course I'm sure. So I might not be, it might not happen. Oop, I'm going the wrong way, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to be in slow motion. I'm not sure.
I
I'm
wouldn't
thinking
doubt
that's
that
gonna be
would
in
be in
slow
slow
motion.
motion.
So I think that's gonna be in slow motion. So we'll have to wait and see.
But yeah, it's the whole retro 90s underground fight movies. I'm glad they're coming back with those. It's like we were talking before recording, you had the best of the best movies. Number 2 was legitimately an underground fight movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the Bloodsport movies, which I thoroughly enjoy those. Well, except for number 5, the Dark Kumite. I tried watching that.
I liked it. I mean, it was a train wreck, but I mean, it still had good fighting, and he still did his thing in it, But yeah, it was just. I talked to him about that. I think I mentioned this before, but yeah, he said how he was like, he was skeptical, and they changed his character and they did a whole thing, and he knew it wasn't going to be as good as the other ones, So, but it is what it is. I mean,
so yeah, it's like, and then we were talking about Billy Blanks, and you were the one that kindly reminded me about the name of the movie. Was the movie Showdown?
yes,
where that was the closest thing I can. Oh god, there was this old like early 2000s TV show. Had like some of the stunt performers from Power Rangers in it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of the show.
WMAC Masters.
That's it.
Yeah.
WM's
Shannon Lee. Yeah, Shannon Lee was
one.
the host of it. Like she did it like a sports show. Like she would host it, and like
Yeah,
they would fight
exactly.
each other for like points and stuff. Yeah. Oh, I got out.
And that was kind of like how that was kind of like the parts of Showdown that I remember, because last time I think I saw it was 96, 97. And that's kind of how that movie went too. It's like, oh, this guy wants to become a fighter, but these people in this like TV show and tournament were celebrities, and he kind of wanted that fame. But when he found out that there was a dark side of that, that's when he's like, I'm gonna be the good guy and save the day. Which I like those movies. Granted, they can be cheesy as all hell and predictable, but you know what? They're fun to watch. You can just turn your brain off, enjoy your popcorn, sit there, and
just watching the trailer to the Last Kumite, it's filled with cheese. It's like
exactly,
it's got cheese all over the place, but it's like that's what you want. It's like I want Stan Bush singing at the top of his lungs during a montage training scene. I mean, like, are you
exactly? It's like I'm looking forward more to these like low independent budget movies than I am these big blockbusters. Because, for example, I only watched 1, maybe 2 Marvel movies last year, and I was watching them like every single time they came out. Like I still got to watch Black Panther 2. I still got to watch Ant-Man 3. I have to finish the Eternals, which that one I don't think might be a toss-up if I ever do.
I've never seen it. I don't think I'll ever watch the Eternals, actually.
The only one that I remember off the top of my head watching and enjoying was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And I remember seeing the original one in theater opening day 3D. So, and like I think the only other superhero movie, the last one I watched was Blue Beetle. Because I think the one I watched before that was Black Adam. And,
I enjoy Black Adam. I like Black Adam. I mean,
I did too, but you got like all these big budget movies. Hell, Black Adam was considered to be a flop, and if you look at the numbers, it looks like it made money, but Warner Brothers considered it to be a flop. And hell, look at Dune Part 2. It in 2 weeks, it almost made back completely its budget domestically, but internationally, it made its budget back and then some its first weekend. And there's some of these movies that I feel like you don't need to be like $200-300 million movies. Godzilla minus one, best example. That was what, a $20 to $60 million movie, if
Yeah,
that, and it's a fucking Oscar winner.
should have went best foreign picture, and it wasn't even nominated.
Oh yeah,
But I'm not. I'm
and
not
I'm
jaded.
kind. Yeah, I'm a bit. I will say I'm a bit jaded, not knowing when it's going to be released here in the U.S. on physical
Oh, I know.
media.
That's the other thing. I hate Toho. No offense, but like they do the like, oh, we don't want you guys to get confused with Godzilla Kong. I'm like, I'm not gonna get confused with Godzilla Kong. I
Nobody's
freaking
going
know
to
the
get confused.
difference between the goddamn differences. It's like just give me the other fucking movie too. No, we're gonna release it in Japan first, but we're not gonna put any subtitles on or anything. So that way, you guys back in the States, unless you know Japanese, aren't gonna want to watch it, and then you're gonna have to wait for us to put it out again. I'm like, you know what? And say, if you don't want my money, then fine, don't
Well,
take it.
well, no, like they said, if you look at Shin Godzilla when they came out with that one, uh, same thing happened with that one. Basically, but I'm like, there was no Godzilla movie that came out around the same time as Shin Godzilla, and they basically waited until September of that year, almost a full year after it was released theatrically,
Yeah.
to release the damn movie for the U.S. market.
Yep.
And that's what they're predicting for Godzilla minus one. I'm like, well, I'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to Godzilla X Kong. That looks like it's gonna be a cool, fun popcorn movie. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have too high hopes on it, but
Why
I get
not?
the feeling I'm gonna enjoy it. Well, it's just I'm a Godzilla fan. I'm
So am
not a
I.
Kong
I've been
fan
there
all that
since
much.
I listen, I was a Godzilla fan before you were born, son. It's like I'm excited
Yep.
for it.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for it. But I'm like, I don't have the highest expectations because Alexander Skarsgård didn't come back.
Ow.
Millie Bobby Brown didn't come back, or none of the other actors have come back
So
except
you're
for
complaining about the
the.
human actors not coming back in a Godzilla movie.
Well, that I know that's
I'm just trying to get the feel for what you're
hit
saying. That's all.
just
I'm not.
just a little bit, just a
No
little bit because
disrespect. No disrespect.
oh no,
Hey,
it
the one chick
depends
did.
on
The
the
one chick's back. What's her name? And then the black guy, the funny guy, Brian Tyree.
yeah, Bernie.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
happy
back.
about. But I will actually I've been watching like one, maybe two previews or trailers for a movie, and then I try to avoid everything else because I don't want any spoilers,
They
because
just
there's
released
some
another
movies that I've
trailer
seen.
for it last week, and I didn't watch it. I'm like, why do I need to watch another trailer? I'm like, you're gonna show me
Oh
more shit
yeah,
that I want to see in the movie theater,
because yeah, exactly. Don't want to. That's another thing, is I don't want to see the stuff that I want to go see in the movie theater for.
right? Yeah, it's like,
Uh,
but yet that's like 4 trailers now. Back in the day, you had 1, and that's all you needed. But now
or
they give you the whole fucking movie.
I remember Terry Crews did a joke for Expendables 2. It's like, oh no, nowadays you got to have a trailer to tease the trailer.
Yes.
And I'm like, what the hell? No, we don't. Don't give us a teaser. Don't
Yeah.
just give us one trailer, maybe 2, and that's it. Because like like you said, there's like 4 trailers for this movie. I'm like, what the hell? We don't need 4 trailers.
No, you don't. But that's what they think you do nowadays because they're so afraid it's not going to make money or they will not make as much money as they want. But like slamming trailers down their throats isn't going to, is it? But
Well,
that's
you
neither
also
here
got to
nor there.
remember that.
Like, that's, yeah, that's the society that we're in now. It's like, so just
I was gonna
expect her
say,
to
you
move
got to
on.
see it like, you got to think of it like this way. Warner Brothers wants you to go see the movie so they can try to recoup their money. I don't remember Canon Films doing more than just one trailer, even if it was just one trailer.
It was one. Yeah, there was only one trailer. If anything, they had TV
Yeah,
spots, for the ones that
exactly.
got released theatrically. Yeah.
Like one of my favorite, it's not a very good movie to today's standards, but guilty pleasure movie like I watched with my family when I got that box set was Masters of the Universe.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing that they were supposed to be another one.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that would have been awesome as a kid to see Masters of the Universe 2.
Listen, and I hate the term guilty pleasure. You should never feel guilty about liking a movie.
Oh.
I don't use guilty pleasure. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking say I like it, and I give my reasons why I like it. It's like I'm not gonna feel guilty for liking a movie. I hate that term.
Oh
It's
yeah, like
it's like
no, it's like one of my favorite actors. He he's an actor. He's more of an action star than anything, but the man is a genius. He degree in chemical engineering, writer, director, but most people are like Ivan Drago from Rocky has all that. Oh, yeah,
yeah.
they. It's like Dolph Lundgren is fucking awesome. He's the man, and you know my folks, I remember watching the Punisher on VHS, the original one, the one he did, and my folks were like, my mom made this stupid joke of Dolph Lundgren. That sounds like a diseased dolphins get, and I just looked at her, and I made her regret that
Mom.
because the majority of the movies I ended up renting from then on were Dolph Lundgren movies. Like I remember, I loved Red Scorpion when I was a kid. And we need movies like that to come back, like the low budget ones, but give them a little time so that actors don't get hurt. Like I was just reading a thing saying how American Ninja 2 was supposed to be completely different than what we got.
Yep.
So it was supposed to be they were out of the army teaching inner city kids how to do martial arts.
Yep.
Instead of the
We got
army
the super
teaming up with the
ninja.
Marines.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like teaming up with the Marines to go to attack a ninja base, and I'm like, I just remember, the joke in number 3 at the very end. He's like, "Man, I've been fighting ninjas for so long. You don't even know how long I've been fighting ninjas, man. Can we fight somebody else?"
But here's the
So,
thing, going back to the last Kumite, I wanted to mention this, because then I'm gonna put this up here. You're not gonna know who it is, but there's this guy.
isn't that Tong Po?
Nope.
That's not
This,
Tong Po. Okay.
yeah. So the thing with this is Bolo Young's son, Bolo
Oh
Young
wow.
Jr. Yep. He is a bodybuilding champion and MMA trainer, and he just looks like an overall badass. So yeah, Bolo Young's son is in it.
Damn.
So like we don't have Bolo Young in it, everybody, but we have his son in it, and he looks pretty fucking ripped.
I thought I saw in the
yeah,
credits Bolo Young. I was like, I didn't see Bolo Young in that damn
it's
trailer.
David
What the
Bolo
hell?
Young Jr. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the other thing. Like they probably tried to get Bolo Young, but for whatever because he's he's pretty old now. But they're like, well, let's. But he's this badass MMA trainer or
Oh
bodybuilding
God.
champion. Yeah, so he's like he's not as big as his dad was in terms of girth, but he definitely looks. He should. Why
Well,
isn't that
it's
guy
like
making movies unless he doesn't want to? He probably doesn't want to.
exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, so I can't wait to see what him
Uh,
in the movie and see what he offers to the plate in terms of the fighting and everything.
oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna be when I saw Bolo Young, but now seeing that it's Bolo Young Jr., I'm like, oh shit. Seeing that image of him, I'm like, I'm looking forward to it. I want to see it.
Right?
So
So
I want to see what he does.
yep.
Because Bolo Young is one of the great movie villains of all time.
Oh
And
yeah. You are next.
I think him and Kirihiko Tagawa,
Mary Hiroyuki
they
Tagawa.
both, yeah, they are up on that Mount Rushmore as well.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah. Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa was like the bad guy in every '90s movie that came out on VHS.
Mhm.
I mean, especially if it was Asians that were the bad guys. They're like, "Where's
Oh yeah.
Cary? Get Cary!" It's like,
Oh
it's
no
like,
no no no.
like,
It was weird because I'd watched the first time I watched Nemesis, seeing him in that, and he wasn't really a bad guy at
no,
the
he's a
end. I was
good guy
like,
in that one. Yeah, I know. That's weird. Yeah,
I'm like, what the
yeah. He
hell?
did play. He did play some good guys here and there, but not too many. But yeah, he.
My ex, my youngest daughter's mother was watching the old Sabrina the Teenage Witch show, and it was funny seeing her entering a martial arts tournament, and the final guy she has to fight to win the trophy was him.
Yeah.
I was like, what? He's But I also remembered him as being like the badass alien warrior from Space Rangers, the TV show.
Yes.
So I
Yeah,
might
I
not look
watched that
like I'm
show.
40, but I remember all sorts of different things from the 90s, and basically I could go, I was a 90s kid.
Right? Yeah, so yeah, like I said, like just to have it. So actually, let me go back. I believe this comes out June 11th. I think if I'm wrong, I gotta look it up. But yeah, it's coming to Blu-ray, 4K, I believe. I mean, it's gonna be on digital. I'm sure people that did the crowdfunding are getting, which kind of sucks. I should have fucking put money into this one, and I would be getting some pretty cool shit out of it. But it is what
That
it
would be
is.
awesome. That
Yeah,
would have been awesome, but
yeah, but I mean, I'm gonna, and I don't want to jinx it, but I did contact somebody today who is in this movie about an interview, and they said yes. But as you
oh,
know, until I have it in the can, I don't say it because I don't want to jinx
yep,
it.
yep. Unless
But I
it's
do have
yeah.
somebody into. I'm gonna try. Hey, I'm gonna try to track more people down and talk about this movie. But I did get one uh via that's one thing social media is good for, like these people like will answer you and stuff like
Mm,
that and everything. But yeah,
it it's
I was
that's
like, hey, so you got that movie coming out, which is right in my wheelhouse. He's like, would you like to talk about it? And they're like, oh sure, but I'm traveling right now, can you wait like 10 days? And I'm like, yep, I can wait, but so yeah,
yeah.
so like
That's how I got guests for my podcast. Was like one episode that I did was with Kung Lee, and I Instagram. He actually responds to his Instagram. Uh, his Twitter, a buddy of mine, Sean Michael Argo. I legitimately just got book 7 in his a book series that he does. So social media works.
it
It's
does.
not every
It's
single one of them
Listen,
has somebody
it's
running it.
good for some things, but it's just exhausting. Like, I mean, like
No, yeah.
having to put everything on there to advertise for the site, and I don't know how
Mhm.
people do it all the time. It's exhausting. I'm like, I can't do it. I mean, if I was getting paid handsomely, I'd be like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. But it's like, but yeah, social media is exhausting. Plus, like I said, like Owen and I we're like two peas in a pod. Because like when the naysayers come out, we're just like delete. It's like you're gone. Like you say one thing, it's like bye bye. It's like I don't
Yeah,
I don't
it's
I don't know what you're saying. Hello? It's like you're breaking up. It's like
yeah. I think I spent like Thursday this week looking at movie trailers off of your site and off of Owen's site. I still haven't fortunately met Owen. Or unfortunately haven't met him.
Mhm.
He seems like a great guy because you and Charlie are like vouching for him on
Oh,
my podcast.
he's another one that
So
years ago was like, "Hey, you have a website?" I'm like, "I do." And he's like, "So do I." I'm like, "I know. He's had his way longer. He inspired because I was
oh
like,
yeah.
I would look at his website and like, and I'm like, you basically like made me want to do because I saw you doing it and you're just no offense, you're a regular guy, you're not in the industry or anything. You're just a guy that loves action movies that started a website. So you kind of inspired me to do my thing. And so he's like, hey, do you want to hook up? And so, yeah. So, yeah, he's a great guy. And I'm going to do a
Oh
shout out. He's another one that has sent me stuff in the past. Like he sent me, like I said, I mentioned it last time. I don't have it here anymore, but the Roadhouse 4K from
yeah.
Vinegar Syndrome. He sent it to me. He's like, hey, he sent me a whole.
Yeah.
He just sent me like the Godzilla movies. Great guy. I cannot say enough good things
Oh
about
yeah,
that
no,
guy.
I entered in a contest off when I still have to watch the movie, but section 8, section
Section 8.
9.
Yep. Section 8. Yep.
Yeah.
That was a pretty decent
I
movie.
entered into the Blu-ray contest for that one, and I I
Did
fucked up and I
you
did the
fucked up?
wrong zip code.
Ah,
When he was like, "Hey, you won, congrats." What I gave him my address and everything, and I fucked up the zip code. And I think it originally got sent in like New Mexico, and I messaged him going, "Oh my god, I've." He actually spent his own money, got a copy of the movie, and sent it to me.
there. Enough said. There you go.
And it's like right there, and like where my TV is, it's right underneath. And I love, like I said, I love Dolph Lundgren and I love Scott Eck, and seeing that they're doing more projects together.
Well, they're not in the
Uh,
movie that much. Like Scott Adkins, although he does get the final fight, which is kind of cool. I was like, oh, I was proud of that. But yeah, Dolph Lundgren, they're kind of like extended cameos. Like
Still.
Scott's only like in a few scenes, but no, that's another Section 8's another Christian Sesma who I interviewed for every last one of them, which was an awesome movie with Paul Sloan. He's another one that's doing like these throwback style. I was actually supposed to interview him for Lights Out, but I had it coming, but then of course my life got in the way and it didn't happen. But yeah, he's another guy that's like directing, like he's an indie action filmmaker who's like doing it old school, you know. So yeah, shout out to him too. But that's a good movie. You'll like it. You should like it. Like I said, I mean Scott's not in it a lot, but he gets the final fight, and that's enough for me.
I might just say hell with it after we're done recording and just sit down, because my plan was to sit down and read work on some drawings that I or working on a drawing that I showed you I was doing, or I might just say screw it and sit down and watch a movie.
Oh, here's one thing that just reminded me as we're going through here. Umbrella Entertainment, which is based in Australia, they just announced a 4K definitive version of The Raid.
Oh,
yeah,
did they come out with a 4K
this
version
thing
of the
is
Raid, though?
they did, but this listen, I'm going to get this if I can. I mean, it's $70, which you say that's a lot of money, but what you get like all this stuff. You get the graphic novel, a book, cards, the Blu-ray, the 4K, the packaging. I'll just show you. Just here's the images that I shared. That's some of the artwork for it. I love that, like the different levels, that they go up and everything. And there's with the helmet on. Yeah, you get a Raid graphic novel, you get the Raid book, behind the scenes book, and there's the cover for it. Yeah, and of course we all know the Raid is the definitive martial arts action so like there's certain movies that I like. Bloodsport, when Bloodsport came out, that redefined the martial arts genre. Like martial arts movies were kind of like, kind of not cool, but then he came out with Bloodsport and that reinvigorated. That's how we started getting all these, direct to video action martial arts flicks. Then The Matrix came out, and then that reinvigorated the action genre and the it was a blend, but yeah, with the bullet time and the storytelling and everything. And then John Wick came out. So The Raid is one of those movies, you can literally say it's a classic. I mean, it's
Oh yeah,
it's a near perfect movie, because like I said, I dare not say a movie's perfect, because I do so I got people coming out of the woodwork yelling at me, but I mean, it's relentless, and it just redefined the genre and Gareth Evans. Like you wouldn't know that this was directed by. He's not Indonesian. It's like he's just this guy. Yeah, and he just knows how to make movies and like do action. And then he got this little known actor named Iko, and like, hey, and then Yaya and then Joe Taslim, and they did this movie, and it just came out of nowhere.
Well, you know how the reason why the movie came to fruition, right?
Refresh my memory.
Gareth Edwards was filming a documentary about the martial arts that they use in the movie.
Yes, yes. Okay, I remember now. Yeah.
And yeah, and it's like that's how he met Iko. And I can actually tell you this was the first movie where I saw Iko, because it's mainly his debut.
I saw him in
whenever he comes out with him.
He had done Marintal before that, which is a pretty solid movie in its own right. Sad movie though. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's relentless too. It's not like The Raid. It's a different type of story vibe, but that's the first movie he did before The Raid. I believe so, unless he did some little stuff. But yeah,
I think you're right. They did a documentary, then he did that one, and they put him in The Raid, which, it's still kind of funny because, originally it wasn't The Raid in the US, it was The Raid Redemption.
Yes, they named it that for they named it that because of I guess that The Raid just wasn't good enough. I have no idea.
Which I'm like, The Raid was good enough. Trust me, people. It's a good enough. And but it was like, sadly, it came out around the same time as another movie that had the same concept, and that was Dread. But vastly two different movies.
It's not. Yeah, I hear that, and I'm like, okay. The only thing that's similar is they're going up a building. I mean, other than that,
that's it. Yeah, their police forces are locked into a building, and they have to ascend to get to the bad guy. That's it. They're two totally different movies. Like, this was the first movie that I saw Joe Taslim in, and whenever he popped up, I was like, "Oh, it's that guy from the raid. That's awesome." I didn't actually learn his name until I think it was 2021
Mhm.
when a certain movie he was in came out.
Mortal Kombat.
I actually have kind of like the little cheap mask of the Sub-Zero mask from that movie
And
to go over with it.
his
So,
scenes were Hiroki Sanada. That's the best part of the movie. Is
oh yeah,
like the beginning, and then their fight scene. I like Mortal Kombat. Everybody got pissed because there wasn't an actual tournament in it, and I'm like, probably going to be a sequel. And then Johnny Cage wasn't in it. I'm like, yeah, Johnny Cage wasn't in it. They for whatever reason they didn't add Johnny, but now they did. I mean, would Carl Urban been my first choice? No, but it
no,
is what it is.
no.
But,
Well, and it's like not a whole lot of people know this, but in '95 they came out with Mortal Kombat the book, a novel,
mhm.
an original concept novel, and Johnny Cage wasn't even in that.
Yeah,
And if
I mean
people
it's
want to
okay.
I was gonna say, if people want to argue with me, I literally got the book on the other side of my bedroom. So, fight me.
Yeah. So we'll see how I mean, but like in terms of the graphic violence and the kills and stuff like that, I mean, I was happy with it. I
Oh yeah, it was just like the Mortal Kombat video game. My only different thing I would have done was I wish Louis Tan's character would have been a little bit more because I felt he was kind of like paper thin, kind of
well, that's what they were
cardboardish.
saying. They were like, we didn't get Johnny Cage, but we got this guy, and I'm like,
Well, you
oh,
know what? It's like give us a new character, do
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but make the character a little more interesting, in my opinion. Because I love Louis Tan. He
Oh,
did a
he's great,
great job in
phenomenal.
New Assassins.
Yeah.
Uh, I'd seen him in other things, and which did you know that Louis Tan is actually this was not the first foray he had in Mortal Kombat with that movie?
Yeah, he did what tell me.
He was supposed to be Kung Jin in Mortal Kombat Generations, which was the third season of Mortal Kombat Legacy, the web series, but
Yes, but it
uh,
never, yeah.
which would have had Eric Roberts as Bo Rai Chow as his instructor.
Yep.
Yeah, because the only person that came back from any of the stuff from the footage that was leaked was Casper Van Dien as Johnny Cage. And I actually talked with him on my show about his martial arts background. He was like, and I asked him why he hasn't done more movies. He's like, I never really trained in the martial arts myself. I did it to keep in shape. And the stuff that I've seen him do, he's done a great job. But
Mm.
he was like, it just wasn't me. And his wife was like, yeah, I just don't want his pretty face getting hurt.
Well, yeah. So yeah, I mean, like it is what it is. Like things don't get made and stuff like that, and but God knows how many. Like I always say, go back in my archives, my news archives, and just
Mhm.
go through all the articles of movies that never happened. But it's pretty funny. Actually.
If people want a good example of that, a podcast I listen to is The Greatest Movies Never Made
Mm,
with where they have the guy who directed Jodorowsky's Dune.
hmm
And as the lead guy, there's the guy who wrote the Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
Mm.
And it's a fun little podcast. They do their research. Yeah, it's Steven Scarlatta who directed Jodorowsky's Dune, and Josh Miller from who he was a writer. And they got interested because Jodorowsky, the famous Never Made Dune movie, there's the Jodorowsky Bible, which is like that thick, and because he storyboarded every single bit of that movie,
Right.
and that was going to be supposed to be like a 6-hour movie, and they weren't going to cut it up into bits. It was supposed to be one 6-hour movie.
Wow. That wouldn't have
Yeah.
been good. I don't think. Nice.
Yeah, it's I am not looking forward to the day where I say screw it and decide when it comes out on home media to binge both Dune Part 1 and 2.
Right.
Because that's a good 5-hour chunk. Like when Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, I think I watched that in 4 or 5 sittings.
Yeah. Cool.
Because I'm like, it's just too long. That's another thing I've been having issues with movies nowadays is you know, keep them under 2 hours, people, because not everybody has the time to sit through a 2.5 hour long movie all at once.
Right. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of going to the theater, I'm not a real fan of longer movies, but I could care less at home because like I watch it at my own pace and stuff like that. And there's some people who say, "Oh, you need to watch it all the way through." I'm like, yeah, I do, but sometimes I don't. It doesn't kill it for me. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So, all right. So this was a good time. So of course we went off tangent, but that's why we do this because we start talking about certain things and then it leads us to other avenues. Do you have anything else to add to the conversation? Action
Not off the top of my head, no.
No. Okie dokie. All right. So, like I said, if you're a fan of this guy, which we all are,
Yep, definitely.
the interview we did last night, I did it with that fat samurai guy, Preston Downey, who is fucking awesome, has his YouTube channel. So like and subscribe to him too. That's up now. I'm in the process of putting it up on mine. I just did the article today and I was downloading it onto my YouTube channel before I got onto this. So make sure you check that out. It's a good time. We talk about his career, his movies, everything that we love about him. And he, like I said, just a gracious, humble guy. And he's just freaking awesome. There you go. I have nothing more to add. So, Mr. Logans, if you are all set, then we can say adieu, bid adieu.
Yep, I'm all good.
Okay. All right. So everybody, don't forget. Oh, before we leave, plug yourself. So,
well, you can find my podcast. It's the Action Nerd Dudes Being Dudes talking about movies.
And give me your logo,
there-
so that way when we do this, I'll pop it up
But
there.
yeah, I'll send that to you. But yeah, it's basically it was just me picking random action scenes from different movies that.
It's fine. You got a logo now. That's. I mean, it doesn't have to be
Yep,
the one.
I got a logo.
I've done like
So,
5.
I'll send you. So, but yeah, it's like I'll send you the logo. It's like I thought I texted it to you once. So
You did. I did. Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah. Then I do have it. Okay. Well,
yeah, it's like you got it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I'm on paid meds,
So-
man. You got to remind me 15 times. before I finally get this in. So yeah. So he's got his podcast, The Action Nerd, Dudes Being Dudes, talking movies, and actually, we just me and Charlie are on there again. We talked so long that he split it into 2 episodes. We have the Roadhouse one.
No, I had to.
That was
we
up
were
first, and
talking
now
for 3 hours.
we
So.
talk about the legacy of the new generation of action stars, and of course, we get passionate about it. So that's now up on his podcast wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you just Google Action Nerd, and he will pop up. I know you want to know why, because I did, and that's what happens. He comes up because there's not too many action nerds out. Well, we're all action nerds, but we don't call ourselves.
Oh yeah,
he's the only one out there. So until next time, this is John with ActionFlix.com saying, don't forget to like and subscribe, not just me, but also Mr. Logan's over there, and check out my website, which is all nice and pretty now. At ActionFlix.com. That's action-flix.com. I got some cool things coming up. Today I was networking. I was trying to get a whole bunch of, like I said, I hope I have this one person down for an interview from the Last Kumite, because that would be awesome, because he's another favorite of mine throughout the years and everything. So there you go. So Mr. Logans, this was fun. So thank you again for joining me, and good luck with the good luck with the physical, and then I'm sure we'll talk before the job. So
oh yeah,
you could tell us all how that's going, and then me, I'll just let you know if I ever got any money from disability, because that's always a fun time, because tomorrow's Monday, so I'll be on the phone again and be like, hey, I had my surgery, you want to see my cast? It's like it's like I can't work. So but other than that, I hope everybody has a good rest of their weekend. It is Sunday and the start of another week. And until then, we are the ultimate destination for your action fix. Myself, the Action Nerd, that fat samurai guy, Owen over at the Action Elite, Charlie with giving me back my action and horror movies. So make sure you check everybody out. I'm going to have to get something to, put up there when I announce everybody. But you know me, it takes me forever to get things going, but it is what it is. All right, Shane, you have a good one. Take it easy, sir.
Yeah, you too.
All right. So until next time, hopefully, next week brings us even more good action stuff, and we'll have a lot more to talk about, and we'll do it then. All right. So take it easy, sir. Have a good one.